Hey, what's up, my man?
Hey, Travis, what's going on?
Hey, I appreciate you taking some time out to talking with me this morning.
Sure, glad to do it.
Awesome, awesome. So I want to get straight to the point, man. You know, you've been around for quite some time. Uh,
Forever.
How many years you got in right now?
I bought my first house in July of 1999, if you can
Oh, wow.
believe that. That's a long time ago.
I was 9 years old.
You know, a lot of the influencers right now were in elementary school and junior high when I got started. They
Yeah.
call me they call me a clown, but they were in elementary school when they got started. So that's funny.
Man, I've been aware of you for about 2 years now. I actually, I'm one of your students. I bought your the whole Sub 2 manual courses,
Yeah, hope
It's
it.
helped me a lot. Uh,
Yeah, right.
when I think of Sub 2, there's only really like two people that come to mind, and you're right at the top.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do. I've been kind of low key. Teaching's never been my main thing.
Yeah.
I made a post the other day. I kind of got into it accidentally. I enjoy doing it. I really enjoy helping people, and there's just only so much time, and that's really the only reason I ever started charging for it was because it starts taking up a lot of your time.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, that's how I got to courses and coaching and like I said, we're pretty low key with that. But
Yeah.
anyway, anyway, we got a few followers.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Thanks for sharing that. So are you what side do you like more? Do you like coaching? Do you like real estate?
I love real estate. I mean, I like coaching too. I like meeting new people. I'll tell you, there's nothing quite like getting an email or a message from somebody saying, we just closed on our first deal, or we just closed on this multi, or and I never would have gotten started if I hadn't met you. And that really feels good. But as far as what I really enjoy doing, and that's meeting with sellers, just sitting at their kitchen table, finding out what their problems are, and just working out a way where they can come out of it with their dignity intact, and it's the means to start over, which is most of the people we deal with are in foreclosure.
Hmm.
So being able to do that and make a nice profit and just live the life most people really dream of. I don't think most people dream of a Lambo, really. There are a few that do, but I think most people just really want to be able to do what they want to do, to
Yeah.
never miss a kid's soccer game, to if your wife is just overwhelmed, just say, pack your bags, baby. Let's go on a week cruise or something like that. I know when I got started, those were the frustrations that I came from. Missing kids, I had two small children, missing their soccer games and things like that, having to drive halfway across the country for Christmas Day and then drive back to go to work and doing those things. And I think and really, the surprising thing is they try to sell you on, man, you got to be grinding all the time. You got to buy 20 houses a month or 50 houses a month. The fact is, like I said in my post the other day, five or six good solid deals would change most people's lives
Yeah.
forever. And
Yeah.
you really don't have to do anything else,
That
So.
that's so true, man. So if you can remember, how long did it take you from when you first got started to have that freedom to do those things you're saying? Like how many years did it take you to be able to just set back and be able to have that freedom?
Well, when I got started, I was like most people. I thought, it was just a place of desperation. I felt like, well, it's a really long story, and you probably don't have time to listen to it today. But I was at the absolute bottom. Don't get me wrong, we weren't broke, we weren't homeless. I made good money. I worked 70 plus hours a week, and I tried to buy my own restaurant, and there's no reason it shouldn't have gone through. I had great credit. I had 20 years of experience, and I was told I was a shoe in for the SBA loan. Well, it got denied, and even the banker said, I don't understand why, really. And it was on my birthday in 1999. And I was 37 years old, and I thought, man, I'm gonna be stuck doing this the rest of my life. And I had a manager quit and I drove out of town. I knew I was going to be out of town for a week trying to get his store back in shape and hire a new manager. And a Carlton Sheets infomercial came on late that night. And I just happened to be up because I couldn't sleep. And so I ordered it. But I had, oh man, is this really going to work? This will never work for me. But I was so motivated. I just said, you know what? Let's just do what the man says and see what happens. And within 30 days, I bought my first house. And then I bought another house and another house. And after the third or fourth house, I said, I need a plan because it looks like this might work. And so I said, I want to leave my job in 1 year. And in July of 2000, I quit my job. I had enough cash flow coming from my houses to replace my job income.
Hmm.
Now, that obviously wasn't where we wanted to be. We wanted to do more and have more. So it was probably another year or two. I remember when it hit me that I actually had freedom. We're on a cruise. So that's one of the first things we started doing when we got a little extra money was taking some vacations. I hadn't had a
Nice.
vacation in over 10 years.
Yeah.
I sold my vacations. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay. It's common in the restaurant business. You're always shorthanded. So planning a vacation is hard. Um, so what I would do for extra money, I would accrue vacation time and then I would sell it back to the company. I would say,
Ah,
I'm not going to take this time. I want the pay.
sure.
So that's what I would do. And I've done that for 10 years. So anyway, I was on a cruise and it was that day of the cruise where you're on the cruise line's private island. And I had, been out in the ocean swimming and came back and I was laying in a hammock and the breeze was blowing. And I felt like it was this has stuck with me because it was so unusual. I just had this peace about me. It was just like, gosh, I can't believe it. I'm laying here in this hammock on this beach. I don't have to be home at work. Things are, money's coming in. And it was an amazing feeling. I realized right then that my life was just completely different than it had been just a couple of years prior. So it took 2 to 3 years. You replace your job income and then you build on that to the point where you're able to live the life you want to live. And then after that, it's just growing from that point,
Yeah.
creating assets, building your legacy, doing those things. So yeah, 2 to 3 years, somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's not bad at all, man. You have a really inspirational story there. Thanks for sharing that one. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who can relate to that that's going to be listening to this, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so are you strictly creative? Like, do you do cash offers or are you just giving out these sub two deals?
We'll do cash offers if it fits. I mean, if Travis calls me today and he's got a house, I'll give you a good example. We bought a house this past year from a lady, and she called us from a radio ad. I run radio ads as part of what we do, and she had a story. It's really crazy, but I'm looking the house up while we're talking and listening to her tell me what the work it needs and have a pretty good idea of value. So I'm prepared sight unseen to make her an offer for $80,000. And she says, now there's no mortgage on the house. She owns the house free and clear. Sub two's out the window.
Right.
The only thing we've got is cash or seller finance. So I'm prepared to offer her sight unseen $80,000 for this house. And I said, well, how much have you got to get for it, Lisa? And she said, well, I'm going to tell you, I need 40,000. Right. So, and I said, well, I think we can do that. And we bought that house for 40 and we flipped it on the MLS and sold it 2 weeks later for 151. Right.
Nice.
So a six-figure wholesale deal. We will do cash if
Okay.
it's appropriate.
Sure.
But most of the time, though, I'd say 80%, 90% of the time, we're going to make a subject to offer, even if the seller needs cash.
Yeah.
Even if it's significant cash, the deal's got to make sense. We did a little flip here in the little town we live in Northwest Arkansas last year, where we wrote the lady a check, for $30,000, and that's
Yeah.
not uncommon if it fits. But we spent another 30 or 40 on it and flipped it and made 70, as a
Sure.
rehab. So yeah, I like combos. writing the seller a check, taking over the payments. I really like, because it's like this, that rehab we did, she had a loan balance of 140,000. So I would have had to have come up with that additional 140 for, for 3 or 4 months while we did the rehab. And I was just able to take over payments on it. And I could do that, but why use mine if I can use hers?
Right. Yeah. That makes total sense. Um, Sub 2 has become really popular in the last few years. You got a
Yeah.
lot of new people who really don't understand it going into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, compared to how it was when you first started to now, what do you think the biggest risks are that a new wholesaler is taking on by, trying to do these type of deals?
Well, the biggest thing that I see in the marketplace right now is that they're not really educated. It's just, if you look at society in general, we want instant gratification,
Yeah.
especially with the newer, the younger people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people never, grew up. I mean, and I was guilty of it with my kids. I gave them everything. So, people, when people don't work for things, I tell the story all the time. When I got started, we didn't have prop stream or batch leads or all this stuff, all these driving for dollars tools. We didn't have online access to the courthouse and man, all these amazing tools that we have today. Driving for dollars for me was driving all week long, taking down addresses, going to the tax office one day a week, getting on their little computer with the green screen and looking everybody up, and then
Yeah.
going home and hand addressing stuff and doing things like that. Things are so easy now. But really, back to your question, is I think there was a line in Jurassic Park. I can't remember the guy's name, but he talked about how things that aren't earned or abused.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of, there has to be work, there has to be effort behind it. And when somebody hands you, and this is popular with the new gurus, everything's so easy, it's so simple, it's bam, bam, bam. But it's really not. There's more to it than that. This is always, will always be a people business first.
Yeah.
For example, I see posts in Facebook groups. Hey, I got a contract with a seller on a sub 2 deal, and they found the money to save their house. How do I force them to sell it to me? Well, you don't.
Right.
You
Yeah.
don't. If that person found a way to save their home, celebrate with them. Tear that
Yes.
contract up and say, "Man, I'm so happy for you. Call me if you ever get in trouble, and I'll be here to help you." How do but they're advised, go record a memorandum, force them to do that. That's just not how you treat people.
Right.
um, you just need to understand it's a people business. We give lip service to, we're here to help people, so help people. You're still going to make more money than you can spend.
Yeah.
Just be careful who you listen to. If it sounds too easy, it probably is. It's hard work
Yeah.
in the beginning when you're learning. How do you teach people how to treat people?
Mm. Good
You
one.
know,
Yeah.
I don't know. We talk about ethics a lot. There's a lot of people that do things I don't think are ethical.
Yeah.
But again, that's I don't know. Can you live with what you do? If
Yeah.
if you can, I guess you're okay. I don't know. Just be careful who you listen. Always think about the other person first. I guess
Yeah.
that's really in all your business dealings. Think about them first. That doesn't mean we buy houses that don't make financial sense. Every seller that I've ever dealt with has heard me say, Mr. Seller, I'd love to be able to give you that for your house, but I have to make a profit too. That's not a sin.
Yeah.
If I can't make money, it's just not a smart deal for me.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think there's just so much more to it than just legalities. It's how you treat people, really.
Love it, man. I respect that answer so much. It just shows me even more what type of person you are. You know what I mean? So that's awesome. There's not a lot of people who are teachers or gurus, that are giving that type of message out there. You mentioned foreclosures earlier, that you do a lot of foreclosures. Now,
Yeah.
for somebody getting started that's just trying to reach out to foreclosures, they're probably going to find that they're really hard to get a hold of. Like I think it's a difficult lead, even though it's a low hanging fruit. It's easy to
Right.
reach and reach out to these people. What is your strategy on getting a hold of these people?
My strategy is not the most popular one. It is the most effective. I knock on their door.
Okay.
I knock on their door. I talk about door knocking all the time, and it's a a blue ocean because most people won't do it. We're in an age of texting, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe you don't even like to pick up the phone. You just want to text people. But I'm telling you, door knocking is effective, and with the right approach, uh, people will talk to you. I've been door knocking for 20 plus years. I've never been threatened. No one's ever shot me or hurt me in any way. But I don't knock on their door and say, "Hey, I want to buy your house." We approach, and this is the exact thing I tell my students. You approach with a heart to help.
Yeah.
My first thing that I'm trying to do is help them save their house if I can. There's a dozen ways to do it. And most people aren't aware. I guarantee you, if you went out and knocked on 100 people's doors in foreclosure today, and they all answered the door, and all you did was ask them if they were aware of FHA partial claims or forbearances or loan modifications, 90% of them would say, "What are you talking about?" They don't
Yeah.
even know. So we make them aware of the possibilities to keep their home. We'll help them fill out paperwork. We'll get on the phone with the bank. We've done it, gosh, dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And if there's a way to help them keep their house, we'll help them keep it. If they can't keep it, they don't have the income to make the payments, they are too far behind to get caught up, the bank won't work with them, then we talk about other options, how they can escape their situation with their dignity intact and some cash in their pocket. And that's where we move to next. But knocking on the door, getting out there and actually, making eye contact with somebody and saying, "Hey, I understand the bank's trying to take your house. I'm here today to see if I can help."
Love it. It it sounds like, no matter what lead source it is, how they're coming into you, your main objective here is to make sure that you're giving the options. You're letting people know you are being ethical. It's more about the person than the house, right?
Right. That's exactly right. And in deals, they say, "How do I find houses?" Well, you're not looking for a house. You're looking for a person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A house is a house is a house. They all have, for the most part, bedrooms, bathrooms, a kitchen, a living area. It's the guy in the house that you're looking for. That's where the deal is. That has a situation, whatever it may be. They don't have to be desperate. The lady I talked about earlier, Lisa, long story, but I'll make it short. She lived in Oklahoma, which is only an hour and a half from here. It's not like it's across the country, but it was getting to be summertime. I don't know why she didn't think she could hire somebody, but she said, "Man, I don't want to drive all the way back over here every couple of weeks and cut the grass. The house is vacant." And
Yeah.
okay. So she sold me a house for a fraction of the value. She That was her motivation. Hey, I'm not going to argue with it. You can't get in the
Right.
seller's head.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a video testimonial of her on our real estate website. She says, "Hey, they helped me. They can probably help you too. Give them a call." She was happy as she could be.
That's awesome. Do you get, when you can, do you get as many of those, testimonials as possible?
Listen, unless they just won't, and occasionally you'll have somebody that I can't be on video because they're afraid or whatever
Yeah.
it may be. But absolutely, we almost always get a video in front of the house we bought where they explain how they found us and that we were able to help them. So yeah, that's very helpful um, for future clients. I mean, and we get a few written ones, but they're not as good as the videos. I mean, those people are real. They're right there in front of the house. So, yeah,
That's a good tip right there.
yeah, for sure.
Um, I'm sure, over the years you've done almost every marketing imaginable. You mentioned radio earlier. How
Right.
long have you been doing radio? And I'm sure it's been working well for you.
Oh, listen, we love radio. We start with, one of my actually my student taught me this. He's in Little Rock and he's in our Sub 2 Max group. he at one of our mastermind meetings, he told me, hey, listen, I took this class and I've been using radio and it's working real well. So when we moved to Northwest Arkansas a couple of years ago, right out of the gate, we said, hey, we're in a new market. Why don't we just try radio? So we negotiated with different sales guys and got some pretty decent rates, and we started running radio. And I'll tell you, we started running ads, and the way it is with radio, you're on you sign a contract, but you run ads per month, and you're charged by the spot, and
Hmm.
so you're always paying in arrears. In other words, if we started January 1st, we'd get a bill on February 1st for the radio. So we started ads, and the first day we got a lead on a house. The first day that we put under contract and flipped it on the MLS. And I think there's some new term for that now. I don't know what they call it, wholetailing it or some crazy. Anyway, that's what we did. We got it under contract, we listed it, and we had a buyer, we had people bidding on the house. And
Nice.
so we flipped this thing within 2 weeks and made $71,000. And so 2 weeks before our first bill was even in for radio, we had a check for $71,000. So I was sold on radio at that point. And we bought, I think Jody mentioned this yesterday, that we bought 7 houses last year from radio.
Nice.
So, I mean, and when, even if people think radio is expensive, and it can be if you don't negotiate,
Sure.
they'll give you a rate and it may be $50 or $100 a spot. But if you negotiate them down, but let's just say that you're paying $20 a spot and you're running 100 spots a month, that's $2,000.
Yeah.
But my goodness, one deal where you make $30,000 pays for your radio for the whole year. And
Oh
then some.
yeah.
So you just have to look at it that way. And that's what we do. We love radio. It's great.
That's awesome. And there's not it's not one of those marketing platforms where it's like texting or cold calling. Not everybody's just jumping on board to that. So I'm sure and I'm sure the radio stations only allow like so many, like I'm sure if I wanted to come in and do the same thing that you're doing on your same radio stations, they'll probably say, "Well, our slots are filled," right? I mean, is it
I don't think they will. I mean, you think about it, grocery stores advertise, and there's
sure.
under to those. We on one station, we're on 2 stations now. We were on 3. We dropped one this year because it wasn't performing as well. But we're on 2 stations, and one of the stations we're on, there's another competitor here.
Okay.
He's pretty well known. He's a bigger pockets guy,
Mm-hmm.
and but he lives in this market too, and he runs
Okay.
ads on the same station, and we've got banger deals off. I mean, it's just like everything else, Travis. Some people are going to hear your message
Mm-hmm.
and resonate with you,
There you go.
whether it's in writing or radio or letters or door knocking. I mean, you and I can knock on the same door and you'll get the deal, and I won't, because they liked you, or you reminded them of their nephew, or
Yeah.
you seem like a nice guy and I seem like a jerk. I mean, it's just that we just relate to people. So yeah, I mean, I think if they had 100 investors contact them today, they'd take all of our money. I don't think they
Yeah,
would
you're
care.
probably right. Very good points. I saw your Facebook posts, I follow you, we're friends, I've been watching you for a while. I see you talking about, the New Year's and having to let go of things to let new things in. So talk to me a little bit about what your plans. I'm not going to say resolutions, but what are your plans for this year and how are you going to better yourself?
You know, I want to, and I've been on this thing for several years. I want to, as far as coaching goes, I feel like I have. When we look at our overall situation, we have different areas of our life that we want to improve on. I mean, whether it's your physical health, your relationships, and for us, business means coaching and real estate. Um, we're getting a little bit older now. I mean, I'll be 63 this coming May. So we're trying to take a little bit better care of ourselves. Uh, and physically, trying to exercise more, do things. I mean, just the common stuff. And as far as, same thing with relationships. I mean, Jody and I have been married for 5 years now, so we're still on our honeymoon. still getting to know each other and doing well on that. With coaching, we're actually trying to change things where we do less of it, but it's more intensive and it's more outcome driven. In other
Okay.
words, we're going to start doing less group coaching and more um, one-on-one stuff where we work
Okay.
directly with a person, either in a joint venture capacity where we both profit from deals. So, I mean, obviously, we're invested in that more
Yeah.
so. And then, secondly, in coaching situations, we're actually going to roll out something later this year where we guarantee you will buy a house if you work with
Nice.
us. Listen, there ain't nothing to lose on that, right?
Yeah.
Um, I see too many things in the coaching world where people will take your money and then never really deliver any serious content. And we want
Yeah.
to set ourselves apart in that way. Real estate wise, we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing. Um, and that's just trying to reach as many people as we can that need our help.
Yeah.
Try to help them first. And then if we can't help them accomplish what it is they want to do, keeping their home or whatever else. And if, and like I said earlier, we try to help them in that way. And if we can't pay what they want, then refer them to a realtor or somebody that can get them a better outcome. So, but it's always been fewer deals, fewer, better deals
Yeah.
to accomplish the same thing. I hate watching these people talk about grinding all the time. Shoot, that's why I got out of a job. I didn't
Yeah.
want to grind. Man, what's Ron LeGrand say? He said, "Why do you want a job? They give those away,
Yeah.
right? You can go get one of those on any street corner." So we
I,
just want to we just want to really enjoy our life, you
I
know.
love it. How much do you work? Like how time wise per week?
Actual work. Um, if we work 15 hours a week, 10 of that is probably planning, researching things we want to do. As far as actual work in the business, working on the business we have right now, maybe 10 hours a week, maybe not very
Yeah.
much.
That's
Yeah.
that's pretty good, man, for the amount of money that you make, right?
Yeah, I can't complain
Yeah.
for a guy with a ninth grade education, right? That never thought, I thought my options were, I was born in a small town in Mississippi. I got a ninth grade education. There was nothing in my past that ever indicated that I would be making the money or doing the things that I do. I mean, I was doomed to minimum wage and probably alcoholic and everything else. And somehow I got out of that. I don't know.
Man, I love it. I think that you're inspirational. Ever since I found you and I've been watching your content, I've learned so much from you without ever speaking to you. So I'm happy we got to speak today.
Yeah, same here.
Um, we're running out of time, but before we get off here, I want to make sure people are able to reach you because, as far as creative financing, I'm sure you're a wealth of knowledge, but as far as sub two and creative financing, you're my go-to guy, and I want people to be able to go to you. So how should they contact you?
The best way to find me is just to go to our YouTube channel. We release videos. I have a podcast that we put out there somewhat regularly. And that's just sub2tv.com, SUB, the number 2tv.com. It's free. You can learn a lot about me. If you want to work with me, if you can watch enough videos. I can't tell you the number of people that I've had tell me, I learned how to buy sub two listening to your podcast. So, just listen to those. That may be all you need.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've learned so much from you just doing the same thing. So, yeah, William, it was good talking with you. I hope that we can, stay connected and I can have you back on soon. And I appreciate your time and I hope you have a happy new year.
Yeah, you too. I appreciate it, Travis.
All right. Thank you. You have a good one, man.